Hello, welcome to Pop Along RC, the RC car channel dedicated to RC car racing, and I have decided 2025 is time to get back to the Tamiya racing. I say back to the Tamiya racing, obviously here on the channel we do lots of Tamiya racing, but I want to focus my time and energy again on the TT01. Now this car here is my TT01, my BT shell that I ran at the Iconic Cup a couple of years ago. This car has literally lived in the garage for a couple of years and it's time to get it back on the track. Now this car was my outdoor car, and if you've seen the recent video where I took it to Leighton Buzzard, you will know that I've had to rebuild it due to a silly little accident which broke the chassis. So, it was time to take it down to MK for some Tamiya racing. Now, the day started very well because my son was also running in the same class as me. His driving at the moment is coming on really nicely. He's really developing as a driver, and his FTX Banzai is absolutely flying around the track, and it's nice to see him stepping out of the novice class for the first time. But my journey with this TT01, I put it on the track, first run out, and I had absolutely no grip. The back end was snaking all over the show. I wasn't able to turn in, and I was having a few issues with it. Therefore, when I headed back to the pits, because I've driven this car quite a lot in the past, I knew exactly what I needed to do to fix the problem. But the main thing that I worked on was the ride height and also the tweak in the chassis. Balanced the car nicely, double checked the ride height, and went out for the next round. Second round, the car was greatly improved, and I put in a really solid run. On the day there was an A, a B and a C heat of the Tamiyas, and after the first round I think I was sitting somewhere in the B, and that second run bumped me up to the A final. Now the third round, however, was a bit of a non-event for me, because what happened 2 races prior to me going out, my son's car stopped working. He burnt out his motor, so I was busy in the kitchen soldering a new motor into my son's car, and I missed my round of racing. Therefore, I had to sort of hope and pray that no one bettered my time and bumped me down into the B. Fortunately, I was able to get into the A final. So the A final was a very interesting one today, because although it started as a Tamiya TT01 class and we were running very close to TT01 spec, the A final was a little bit different. So in the top spot we had Paul Land. Now he may correct me, but I believe he was running a shorter chassis TT01, because he was running a shorter shell as well, which made his car really nimble through the tight turns at the MK track. He set out on pole. In second place we had Brendan, who was running, I believe, still a brushless TA08, and his car was absolutely flying. In third place we had Bob with an R, who was running his TB05, which I had the pleasure of running a couple of weeks ago. Beautiful car, really nice to drive that, super smooth around the track. In fourth on the grid we had Mr. Hanson. He was running his TT01, but he is trialling a brushless setup in that car and experimenting with timing. Then there was myself in fifth place. And then in sixth place we had Tom. Now throughout the day me and Tom had been swapping places all day long. Tom's driving's coming on great at the moment, and he is quite a tricky character to get past on the track. Anyway, the A final didn't really go to plan, so let's take a look at how I got on. First proper outing with my newly restored TT01. So here we are, we have the A final of the TT01s, or Tamiya touring cars, and I'm starting fifth on the grid. I get off to a really good start, close the gap on Mr. Hanson, but then I check out and get hit from behind, which has been very costly, leaving me with quite a bit of work to be done. Probably the worst first lap I could have asked for. Everyone else is out in their running and they're off down the track. We have got out in front Mr. Land, who is a very experienced driver and always up the top when it comes to TTO1 racing here at MK. And following him, we have got Brendan, who is running his TA08. But here I am, hot on the heels of 5th place. Tried to get up the inside there, door closed, but get up the inside on the next turn. And we are close, running down the straight. I'm very conscious I don't want to get clipped from behind again. I'm closing on Mr. Hansen. Whew, that was close. So now I'm up onto Mr. Hansen again. Another experienced driver who likes to keep his car super wide. So I'm going to have to be aggressive if I want to get the move done. And I'm going to have to take some really tight lines to get past. I'm all over the back and unfortunately took it a little bit too tight. That was a very costly mistake, which has dropped me back down into last, and now I'm having an absolute mare. I've got 1st place coming round to lap me, so I need to move out of the way, allow them to come through. Then Brendan coming through on the inside. And now hopefully I've got a bit of clear track, and I just need to charge along and try and catch up with 5th place. So we have got Bob with an R, who is also coming round there with the white and black car. So he is currently sitting in 3rd place. He's got off to a cracking start and stayed out of trouble. Little mistake there, which means I am now hot on the heels of 5th place. So I've got the move done once. Let's see if I can do it again. I was good coming down into this section, keeping the lines nice and tight. I am closing the gap, trying to straighten out that little chicane as much as possible to try and get a fast line through there. So definitely making progress, carrying a lot of speed through that section, and again trying to keep it nice and tight around the inside, looking for my opportunity. We've been having cracking battles all day long. I think in the first couple of rounds he was definitely the faster car, but the changes I made, look at that, beautiful, love it, up the inside there. The changes I've made throughout the day mean the car is now becoming a little bit more dialed in. At this stage of the race, I think I am actually the 3rd fastest car on track. I'm definitely closing the gap on Chris in 4th place, and he is closing the gap on Rob in 3rd. So it's a case of, have I got enough time to catch up and get the job done? As far as the leaders go, we have got Paul and Brendan miles out in front, but I'm pushing. Ooh, now at this point in the race, unfortunately, I was pushing so hard, I was starting to get grip roll / traction roll, which meant I had to ease off on a couple of sections. And again, because I was easing off and wasn't pushing as hard, I was making little mistakes, coming up short on the turns, which has put me under pressure. Another little mistake there, and I'm back into last place. Again, these are avoidable mistakes. I need to stop. Again, I pulled out of that one because I didn't want to make contact, which means I am hot on the heels yet again. And we've got the leaders come round to lap yet again. So here comes Paul. I'm going to go out of his way, allowing him through. I've lost a little bit of ground, but we've both let the leader through, and I've snuck up the inside yet again. And now what I'm going to try and do is gap him and get onto Paul's bumper and see if he can pull me through for some fast laps. My sort of balance of the grip roll is, I found a sweet spot, and a little mistake. So disappointing. What I like when I race normally is to pride myself on consistency, and as far as I'm concerned in this race, I was just making too many little errors. They weren't big ones, they were just little glances and little taps of those inside turns, which was sending me out and were quite costly in the end. But I am definitely making inroads on Mr. Hansen in 4th place, and he is definitely closing the gap on Bob with an R, who is running in 3rd. So as far as running the TT01 goes, I've had a real good, fun time at the MK Club today. Unfortunately, the final didn't really go my way, and I was forced to chase from the outset. But there was some fun, close racing in amongst it. So there you go. It was a bit of fun at MK today. I will be putting this TT01 on the shelf for a few weeks because it is time to bring out the trucks. So over the next 4 weeks there is going to be truck racing at MK, and I am going to be running my TT01 truck. I've actually got 2 of them because I've got one built up ready for my son, or Mark if he wants to pop along. He can run my spare truck. So in the next few weeks there's going to be some more truck racing on the channel. We've got some exciting news with our plan to venture into the world of LMP, and also we've got this little competition at MKGP just around the corner which we need to get prepped for. So if you like what you see, like, subscribe, hit the old ding dong bell, and hopefully we'll see you trackside soon.